Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechPod Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having a good night. It's actually 12:07 a.m. Here in Arizona. I know it's pretty late for some of you, especially in the East Coast. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. There's a couple stocks that I'm watching. None of the stocks that I'm going to be talking about are in any way any stock suggestions. They're simply ones that I'm watching for tomorrow. And at the very end of the video, if I get through my breakdowns quick enough, I want to break down some of the top stocks that you guys see value in very quickly. And I just want to make sure that whatever we're focusing on tomorrow, there are three things, right? Showing signs of an uptrend, making sure that the opportunity cost or the margin of profit is worth it, and that we do not overtrade. Again, one of the best positions that you can take as a trader, especially as a new trader, is not taking a trade whatsoever. If it is not showing signs of an uptrend, if it's opportunity cost is not worth it, let's take a step back and not overtrade. With that being said, again, I'm going to start breaking down a couple stocks that I see value in for tomorrow. And yeah, that's really just it. So let's go ahead and get straight to this. Let's see. To usually leave people on red on Instagram DM. If I left you on red, it's probably because I was busy doing something I couldn't get back to you. So again, I don't mean to upset you by any means. But yeah, let me go ahead and get right to it. One thing that I wanted to talk about, it's been a very common question today, and it has to do, I'm just going to close this off very quickly, has to do with DGAS itself. So DGAS on this 180-day analysis, we've talked about this one all week. We talked about this consolidation that it was showing signs at $18. There was no indication of a reversal. The only thing, again, we've talked about these multiple stages where it's getting rejected, right? It's becoming very oversold. So it's getting rejected. It's getting rejected by this EMA line. It continues to make lower lows. No signs of a reversal. It built a support right around $18, right? So with that being said, we can draw a support line right around $18. And it's been there for about 3 days. This is kind of where the consolidation happened. Not until today did it have this huge push up from lows of $18 all the way up to highs of about $19.50, a little bit over 7%. Absolutely killed it today, right? So what's to come to tomorrow? Is it going to pull back and bounce off the EMA line or continue to sell off? Or is it going to start to make higher highs? And that's exactly what we need to wait for, right? Tomorrow is the natural gas report. So that means wherever it is that you are, 1 hour after the market opens, there's a natural gas report that right at that minute, it will either shoot up or shoot down about 2.5% based on previous reports. And that is something that you have to be very careful about, again, because if you're in, especially for a swing trade, you might want to consider the idea of maybe locking in profits before that report. If you're part of Learn Plan Profit and you're watching me trade live, that's usually a report that we trade together with, or that we at least trade live, and I kind of like show and talk about in which direction that we think it's going to be going. But again, I usually don't trade those specific reports. I usually wait for there to be a pullback and then I trade the recovery. So with that being said, DGAS is on my radar when it comes down to stocks that I'm potentially interested in trading. The reason why is, first of all, it's very oversold. It's showing signs of a potential reversal. I don't think one day confirms this overall reversal. This thing can just pull right back down to that $18 support. And the other thing that I really like about it is that looking at /NG, which is the natural gas future, you can see that it's very overextended and it was due for a pullback. We talked about it multiple times, but again, just because it's due for a pullback doesn't mean that it's actually going to pull back. But not until today did we get somewhat of a confirmation that it's showing signs of a potential reversal. And this could be very attractive just due to the overall margin that, let's say, even if it gets rejected right around this SMA line, even with the margin of profit that it might have to offer, that's about 14% that it still has to offer if it were to pull back to that EMA line and stuff like that. So again, very quickly, just wanted to break that one down and simply talk about it. CBNA was one that I brought up in our Sunday stock talk. It's one that I talked about in one of the top stocks that I was watching for this week. We got a lot of consolidation right around this $60 price point. It did show signs of an uptrend today. It pulled right back. And again, this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see a push up, pull back, but not make lower lows like it did before, right? We want to see higher lows and see this upward staircase pattern. So I want to be a little bit more patient and a little bit more selective and just make sure that that EMA line starts to point up. If we get a little bit closer, you can see that it's barely starting to point up, and 100% just one red day can send it right back down to that downward trend and maybe back down to that SMA indicator. That's this green line that you see here that normally acts as a support. But again, just because it's acted as a support before doesn't mean that it has to continue to do that. So I set my series of alerts here. I'll set another one right here just in case we get the break above $62 for tomorrow. If this thing starts to trade in between the middle and top VWAP, I can make sense that, okay, the overall 180-day chart is showing signs of an uptrend pattern. Intraday, it's showing signs of an uptrend pattern. The overall margin of profit can be something that I personally find very attractive. And again, just because I find it attractive does not mean in any way that that's something that you have to find attractive as well. Another one that I'm watching, obviously, is one that I traded today. I personally did not end up doing exceptionally well today. But when it comes down to yesterday and the entire week, last week, it performed exceptionally well. We've been watching TNDM for about 2 weeks, ever since it was showing signs of this sell-off and reversal. It had a little bit of a pullback due to the huge day that it had on Tuesday. It makes sense. I personally took a swing trade position. I'm up as of right now $110 on the open. Again, that's nothing in comparison to my position size and how much margin it has to cover. I just want to quickly cover it. That based on previous patterns, there is a slight resistance based on previous patterns. And I'm talking to you about this, even though I'm invested in it, that there's a resistance around $50. It got rejected last time, and it sometimes struggles to hold above $50. So if you do the math and you don't think that the margin from $46 to about $50, about that 6% margin of profit is worth it, then again, TNDM is probably not one that you want to keep your eyes on. It is a little bit more on the overbought side than it is oversold. So again, that is something that you personally might not find very attractive. The thing that I personally like about it is that the overall 180-day analysis or pattern is showing signs of a continuous uptrend pattern. There's a new news alert that went out that it has an expected price of about 57, and its target price is 57, but yet it has expectations to exceed that. Again, anyone can say whatever it is that they want, but if the pattern ends up not performing the way that we expect it to, if I see that this thing really starts to pull back and it breaks below this EMA line and starts to sell off, then again, it's going to make sense on why I'm going to want to cut losses, as its overall direction based on what I first saw value in is no longer relevant. There's a so-called break of pattern, and it's something that I'm going to be watching very closely. So I'll set my alert here for the break below around 54.46. And yeah, also another thing that you might want to keep a close eye on is, again, the RSI and the descending MACD on this 180-day chart, as it can 100% start to sell off. So it's just something that we're going to want to watch a little bit closer. Also, congratulations to all those that played NOW. We talked about it when it was here right around 190. It pushed up to about 200 exactly, the price point and the resistance that we called out. Again, I don't want to say call out, it's just we just did an analysis and looked at previous patterns and saw a good sell opportunity from around 200 to about anything plus 200 seemed to be a resistance. The MACD showing signs of a peak formation, the RSI showing signs of a peak formation. Are we going to get a bounce here? I don't know. That's why I set my alert, as you guys can see with my little arrow. Or are we going to get a bounce, and is it going to try to recover? Calculate the margin of profit that it has to cover back up to that $200 price point. Ask yourself if the opportunity cost is worth it, and make sure that it's actively trending up if it's something that you want to actively trade. Also, ADBE is showing signs of an uptrend pattern. We talked about this one and have been watching it since it was showing signs of a reversal right here. It's approaching this 270 resistance, and based on previous patterns, right here, anything above this, it struggles sometimes to hold above 270, and that's just something that you want to take into consideration, as it's no longer becoming it's no longer a good deal. It's a little bit more on the overbought side, and it might be due for a pullback. So watch out for this RSI and watch out for that MACD as well. Just something that you might want to take into consideration. And then the last thing, again, simply following up with JDST. JDST had an amazing day today. It continued to make higher highs today. But is this pattern going to continue to follow? This is something that I'm personally watching very closely with, I already set my alerts on /GC. If you look at the 1 day, 1 minute chart, you could see that it tried to recover during extended hours and then sold right back off. It looks like the overall SMA indicator is again starting to act as a resistance. So if we see it tomorrow before the market opens, trading in between the middle and bottom VWAP for forward/GC, then that most likely means that JDST will continue to rise, right? But if we see that it starts to show signs of an uptrend and it breaks above 1202 and really starts to hold and makes higher highs, then that means that maybe JNEG then will have a green day and then JDST will start to get rejected. So again, just wanted to talk about both sides. Obviously, JDST is the one that had the green day today, and consistently for about the past 3 to 4 days, it's been showing signs of a potential reversal. But something that we talked about in today's stream is this pattern where it's been making lower highs, as in, as it tries to recover, it can't go as high as it did before. Again, the same thing can potentially happen. So let's just make sure that we're considerate, that we're not forcing our entries, that we're very focused on trading quality picks, and that we're not over trading, right? So I'm going to go ahead and move this on over right here. And yeah, I wanted to, those were my breakdowns. I wanted to talk about the ones that I personally saw value in. Out of all the stocks that I talked about today, the ones that I'm most interested in are 3, right? TNDM, JDST or JNEG, right? DGAS or UGAS. I'm really going to pay a lot of attention to see what's trending up during pre-market hours to identify what direction, like that ETF is going to be heading. And then with that being said, I'm just going to set my alerts and make sure that I trade whatever's actively trending up for the day. If I see just a lot of consolidation and the opportunity cost not being there, as in like the margin of profit not worth the risk, then I'm simply not going to take a position. So just want to make sure that that's a huge focus for us. Make sure that it's not only a good trade, but and actively trending up, but also to make sure that the margin of profit outweighs the margin of loss, that it's showing signs that it's worth the trade. Right? So if I tell you, hey, drive 30 miles and you can make $1, right? Is that worth your time? Same thing with these stocks. Is it worth investing your hard-earned money to make a very small amount and potentially just, essentially waste that day trade? You have to ask yourself that. So what's up? I'm going to do a couple breakdowns just very quickly for a couple of our traders. Let's see where I'm at. I'm at 12 minutes, so I'll do a 15-minute stream. I would set an alert here. Definitely showing signs of it being very oversold. Overall, very consistent signs of an uptrend. This is Chag. So obviously, being a student in college, very familiar with this specific software. I personally don't use it, so but I do have a lot of friends that are very familiar with the check services and what it is that they do. So overall, definitely looks very oversold. I would still, although it is a very well-known company and it's selling off and stuff like that, first I would identify the support and resistance, the very basics, right? What's a low, a low price point, what's a high price point, making sure that you're getting a good deal. And once you have that understanding, then just to wait for some indication of a reversal. And that's why I set my alert here at $30 to see when it starts to reverse back up. Might be something that we might want to keep a close eye on. So a lot of people are saying Chug got me through college. Yeah, we have a lot of people that it's definitely helped out. So I think it's Chug and Quizlet, right? If I'm not mistaken, really helps us out at ASU. So but yeah, let's go ahead and see what else is being called out. Again, if you want to call something out, please make sure it's in that ticker symbol format. Thank you again, Julie and JD. XNCR. I think we did a breakdown on this. So if you guys want to break this one down with me, feel free to do so. Overall, I love the overall pattern, right? I think if I'm not mistaken, I have this one under my pending reversal. Yeah, I have it right here. If I'm not mistaken, it has pretty low volume. Yeah, it has lower volume than the stocks that I normally trade. So it just means that my position size, if I were to choose to invest in it, would probably be a little bit smaller. I like how consistent this ascending uptrend pattern has been. I like how it pushes up and sells off, and it's very easy to identify that. It reacts very nicely with the MACD and the RSI. Very good indicators in my eyes that I can identify when something is oversold or overbought. With that being said, okay, one of my alerts just went off for /SI, so that means if SI broke below support, that means that LEBU is then still selling off. So it's probably going to have a red day tomorrow. When it comes down to XNCR, there's no signs of a reversal just yet. So I would like to kind of view this to be somewhat of a It's in that good deal territory or good deal price point, as in like it's very oversold and it makes sense on why it can bounce right around this SMA line, but it's not showing any signs of a reversal just yet. And one of the best things that I can encourage people that want to avoid multiple red days is to wait for a confirmation or wait for any indication of a reversal. Don't just get in right away because you think that it's a good deal when there's no indication of a reversal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my alert for the break above 42. We could follow up with it as time goes on, and feel free to bring this one up every other day until it gets that confirmation. So I really do appreciate you calling this one out. It's one that I definitely do want to watch very closely. Ticker symbol DRIP. So DRIP would be the inverse of Gush, right? And as of right now, it's showing signs of a potential reversal. I am watching very closely /CL. /CL is definitely very overbought, but it's still trending up. So the thing that I like to, especially with the people that I mentor within Learn, Plan, Profit, is stop trying to predict the future. That's the biggest thing. Stop trying to think of what's going to happen and focus more on what's going on right now. /CL is showing signs of an uptrend, and so is Gush. Yes, it did pull back today. So DRIP, if I'm not mistaken, did have a green day today. Obviously, right? But when it comes down to the overall direction, Gush is still the one that's still a little bit more bullish, right? So if it starts to show more signs of a rejection, then obviously, then DRIP would make sense on why to invest in it for maybe a short period of time. But again, let's focus less on trying to predict the future and focus more on what's actually showing proof of maybe a reversal and maybe a continuous uptrend pattern. So, yeah, and I have to admit, myself, one of the biggest mistakes that I've made is actually with DRIP. Wow, it's so funny. It was earlier this year, and it's when I tried to predict the reversal on DRIP. I think it might have been around this area right here. It was super oversold, right? It made sense on why it would bounce there, and it just continued to sell off. And again, it was one of my biggest losses this year. And it's because I tried to predict the future because it was so oversold that I was like, hey, that's why I didn't get into DGAS. DGAS was super oversold. Everyone was saying, hey, it's time to reverse. But again, I find myself to experience more red days than green days when trying to predict something. I try to focus. Yes, I miss out on some opportunity, but I'd much rather consistently stay green than be red, right? And hoping that I identify a reversal and always thinking that I'm wrong, right? That the whole market's against me. No, just stop trying to get ahead of yourself, right? Just slow it down. This is going to be the last one, and then I'm going to end the live stream. So thank you guys again for tuning in. So I'm sorry, not / it's not a future. CY, right? CY is very oversold. It's approaching this 1450 support. I think this is a 52-week low. So it's at 1430, showing signs of it being very oversold. It makes sense on why it should reverse at this point. It's definitely in that good buy territory, but it's not showing signs of a reversal just yet. Its overall direction, its EMA line is pointing down, the MACD is down, the RSI is down, its entire pattern is down. No signs of a reversal. Let's be patient. This has huge margin to cover, right? Let's be patient. Let's understand that, again, trying to predict the reversal is not going to really benefit us. It was supposed to reverse when it was at 1550 and it pushed up and then got rejected again. Let's be selective. Let's be patient. Let's just focus on whatever's currently trending up. Let's keep it very simple. So I see one other one is being called out. If you want to post it in the group alerts, if you're part of Learn, Plan, Profit, and tag me, I'd be more than happy to do your breakdown for you. So what I mean is if you're part of the Learn, Plan, Profit chat, you can simply go on over to, group alerts right here. All you have to do is tag me, and then I'll direct message you if I see value in your call out. So very simple, and it's something that our Learn, Plan, Profit members do every single day. So yeah, that's really just it. I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I'm already up about 18 minutes, so I have to be up at 6:30. We're going to be going live for others that are part of Learn, Plan, Profit at 6:30, so right at market open here in Arizona. So wherever it is that you guys are, if you guys ever want to tune in or just want to learn a little bit more about kind of like what we do, feel free to click that first link in the description. That's our Learn, Plan, Profit group. Also, we do have a free trading community. It's actually the largest private trading community out there. It's called TechBot Solutions. We have a little bit over 160,000 members. That's that third link in the description. So yeah, it sounds like you guys are pretty tired yourselves. So really hope that you guys get some amazing rest. We'll see you guys at market open. And let's just focus on that quality. Let's have a goal for this week and just for this month in general. And let's not overtrade. Let's not let our emotions come into play. And one of the best things that I took from this week is stepping away from my computer. After I hit my daily goal and I see that the stock that I'm trading is a little bit more on the overextended side, to not overtrade, to step away, call it a day, and not get greedy. And it definitely assisted me in my success on Tuesday, but it bit me on the butt Wednesday because I got a little greedy. But again, you win some, you lose some, and let's just make sure that we focus on ending the week on a green note. So continue working hard, continue following your dreams, let your passion be what drives your success, and like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. If you guys could give me a thumbs up on the video, we'd greatly appreciate it. If not, I 100% understand. Take it easy, team.